We're out in the field playing with shutter speeds. We're set up here with a jump. We've got snowboarder coming, and we're going to play with different settings and find the right and wrong shutter speeds to freeze the motion when you've got fast moving subjects. I'm set to shutter priority, so we're going to control the shutter speed and the camera's going to figure out the rest. The first shutter speed we're going to try is 1/100th of a second. Let's roll, Sam, and go. Yo! Yeah! If I quickly look at that, there's quite a bit of motion blur. And again, with action sports, we don't want him to be blurry. He's the thing we're going to focus on. So we want him nice and sharp. So let's move the shutter speed up. We're going to shoot at 1/500th of a second. Get a bit faster. Quick review of that. And it's much better, but there's still a little bit of motion blur. So let's crank it up, and we're going to shoot at 1/1000th of a second and capture him nice and sharp. Yo! Right, a quick review of that image. And he's nice and sharp, no motion blur. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Nice one.
Got it. Yay.
So you see 1/1000th of a second was fast enough to make him nice and still and freeze that action. So that's the minimum we're going to use, and you can obviously go higher. You can just keep ramping up above 1/1000th of a second. You're good. Now we chose this composition because we like the symmetry, we like the triangles in it. But motion blur is exaggerated when the rider or the object is going across your lens as opposed to in the distance forwards and back. So we'll take a quick example just to show you how much motion blur is exaggerated from the side. So we've set up here slightly to the side of our jump to show the difference of the sideways movement and how much that affects the motion blur. So freezing motion doesn't always have to be with a moving subject. You yourself are constantly moving, so the next thing to think about is your own camera shake. I'm going to overdo it a little bit, but when you're standing there, it's so hard to stand perfectly still, even though it looks like it and it feels like it. You're moving backwards and forwards, you're kind of keeping your balance, and you're moving your arms a little bit when you're holding your camera gear. So you need a fast enough shutter speed to get over camera shake and not have any motion blur with shaking the camera. So we've set up here, Sam, we're going to have a bit of a portrait. I'm going to shoot at 1/10th of a second just to show the effect of camera shake, and we'll work up to get to the recommended shutter speed, which cheat sheet, if you take your focal length, so I'm shooting at 50 mils, and 1/50th of a second is going to be about the minimum I need to get a sharp image without any camera shake. Okay, he's pretty blurry there with some 1/10th of a second. We'll turn up the shutter speed, shoot at 1/30th of a second. So that was a little less, we'll bump it up to 1/50th of a second, and it's going to be good. And of course you can keep going higher. The faster the shutter speed, the less motion blur you're going to get. So that was freezing motion and fast shutter speeds. Let's move on to examples where we want to show the motion.